Всем хай, с вами как всегда я, Ваздер Про, и сегодня, ребята, мы будем играть в очень так необычный хоррор.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Это вторая часть. На моем старом канале выходило такое видео про первую часть. Ну, а это у нас вторая часть. И мы уже как особенно начали. И мы заспавнились.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
К двум открытым дверям он вышел. Что? Очень странная локация.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Начальника с надеждой найти ответы там. Стэнли. О, это работник.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Наверх, к кабинету начальника. Что? Что это за цвет? Я хочу, чтобы на меня
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange, this can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming! He yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up.
Ненавижу стрёмные игры. Вот
I'm
что я вам
through with this
скажу.
dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife
Первая
And my
часть, она
job,
уже сколько там, 10
all I
минут
want is
идет.
my life exactly the
Да,
way it's
ребята,
always
игра
been.
идет очень долго.
My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine.
Моя жизнь
I
нормальная.
am
Я не нормальный.
okay.
Я в порядке. Не дихай на мене.
Stanley began
Где он
screaming.
оказался?
Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I?
Понял, что это не сон?
And everything went
Понял,
black.
блин?
This is the story of a woman named
Это история
Mariella.
о женщине по имени
Mariella woke up on a day
Marisa.
like any other. She
Marisa.
rose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man
Это
who
какая-то
had stumbled
Мариза
through town
нашла
talking
меня,
and screaming to
и она
himself,
что-то
and then
смогла со
collapsed
мной
dead on the
сделать.
sidewalk.
Кто
And although
такая
she would soon
женщина,
turn
блин?
to go call for an ambulance, for just a few
Мне
brief
еще сегодня
moments,
два
she
видео
considered the
записывать
strange
на канал.
man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew.
И про Brawl
Everyone knows
Stars
what crazy
еще
people
завтра.
look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the
Как
rest of
много
her life.
вопросов к этой игре, а
She
я
had
уже не
no
могу
time for
разобраться,
this,
что
so
происходит
it
в
was
этой
only a
игре.
moment that she stood
Кто
there,
ходит, кто-то
staring down
говорит.
at the body,
Какие-то
and then she turned
женщины.
and ran.
Конец? А нет. Все. Теперь мы управляем сами. Так. Ладно. Так кто был?
Already this was uncomfortable, and Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new space he felt safe in, that he would never leave it again in his life.
424. 420. Это похоже, как в игре в кальмаре. Номера постоянно. Такие комнатки с номерами были.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. What was it about this room that called so deeply and so but eager to get back to business? Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Вы хотите сказать, то, что сейчас начнется вот эта вот мистика, и здесь будет бегать бешеный клоун? Меня пугает это лицо Мишки. Лифт. Какой-то заброшенный офис, но вообще-то он довольно так нормальный. Нормальная довольно так игра. Во-первых, что мистики пока еще никакой нет. И много, и очень много текста. Это меня бесит, когда постоянно объясняется. Например, знаете, в FNAF Security Breach. Фредди сказал 2 слова и все. Грегори потом сам. А вот здесь вот прям каждую секунду Стэнли что-то говорит. Прям каждую секунду. Я ненавижу вот такое. Бумажки. Да едь ты, блин, скорее. Мы же вернулись там, где и были. Ладно. Какая-то библиотека. Музыка прям сейчас в тему. Мне еще хоррор снимать, блин. Мне уже один хоррор достал. Еще пока я смонтирую это видео. Раз. Еще пока... Ну ладно. Дышит. Да блин, быстрее ж ты едь. Да мы опять там где были. Понятно, лифт нам не поможет. Возможно, и поможет, но мне сейчас интересно осмотреть все здесь.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy. So he relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age music.
Капец. Где играет музыка мне сейчас реально не нравится.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the
мне нравится
opened
снимать про
passageway.
всякие там хорроры, игры на свой YouTube канал. А вот наш Enderman Pro снимает только про Roblox или про Mine. Чё? Продолжается игра. Мы куда-то зашли.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Control Facilities. Это, знаете, мне похоже на комнату из FNAF Security Breach. Там, где надо чинить Фредди.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Если со второй части. Я снимал про Bobby Boy Time. Но я не закончила снимать. Я 4 части снимаю.
Now the monitors jumped to life. Their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building. Stanley's co-workers.
Это просто чистая копия игры в кальмара. Вот только здесь очень много камер, а в игре в кальмаре очень мало. Это прям чистая игра в кальмара, только в офисе. Еще куклу надо добавить и пряники. Офигеть. Так много камер, и еще некоторые комнаты похожи на закулисье.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe it couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Я думаю, этот ролик наберет 5 лайков. А знаете, даже 10
But here was the
лайков. Если
proof,
это видео
the heart
наберет
of
10
the
лайков, я
operation,
буду очень рад.
controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Странная игра, такой. Знаете, что мне не нравится в этой игре? Здесь нету каких-то там квестов или еще чего-то. Вот чего этой игре не хватает. Мистики всякой, как в FNAF 9. Там есть квесты, там есть какие-то подарочки с сумочкой, которые тебе помогут. Задания там есть, которые можно выполнять, и там... И самое прикольное, то, что там очень много аниматроников.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew... Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation?
Я думал, что в этой игре будут какая-то мистика, а здесь просто один человечек.
Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me,
Всем
where we're
пока-пока.
going.
А я
What all
пока
this
что буду
means,
разбираться,
I
что
barely know where
делать
to
в этой
start.
странной штуке.